Joining me now, we have Maya Ward. She covers the Harris campaign and the White House for Politico. And Sophia Kai, she covers the White House and 2024 elections for Axios. Welcome, ladies. Glad to have you both here. Maya, Tuesday, the attention turns to the running mates. What can you tell us about how Tim Walz and J.D. Vance have been preparing for this debate?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely not as much anticipation as there was with Harris and Trump, but this really could be one of the last big events this cycle, especially if we don't see another Trump-Harris face-off. But with Tim Walz, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of anxiety about the debate. He doesn't have that lawyer-type background that has proven really beneficial in these types of settings. So it's not necessarily his sweet spot, but we're going to have to wait and see, how he actually performs. He's been working on debate prep with Pete Buttigieg, who's been playing J.D. Vance. They were just in Minneapolis this week holding another session. And as for Vance, Congressman Tom Emmer is playing Walz. We also had this interesting piece in Politico talking to Danny O'Connor, a local elected official out of Columbus, Ohio, who played Vance in the Tim Ryan debate. And a point that he made about Vance is that he is very disciplined. He's going to stick to that message that the Trump campaign wants him to. There may be some dishonesty in those attacks, but he is going to be very, very consistent.
Sophia, there's a new report suggesting that Governor Walz is fighting nerves. It quotes Senator Amy Klobuchar saying he's just not a lawyer debater type. Are Democrats lowering expectations?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Walz, you heard him say, I'm going to be up against a Yale Law School grad. And I think for Walz, he knows very well this is his first national appearance, his first and perhaps his only chance to define himself against someone like J.D. Vance. So his goal is really going to be able to show that he's able to fend off, attacks from this attack dog like Vance, and also not get flustered. We know that, he's prone to, turning red. He's prone to some of these fumbles in terms of the facts, and he really needs to not do that. And as well, he wants to show other pieces of him, like the coach Walz, like the school teacher. And these were parts of his stories that made him a good candidate for VP in the first place.
You think anyone's telling him, Sophia, look, here's the deal. You are more popular than J.D. Vance is across the country. And if you're just yourself when you're out there, that's the authentic you. You think he's hearing that at all from anyone, Sophia?
Yeah, absolutely. So my colleague Tori in Minnesota has been talking to a lot of Walz allies, and they really want him to just be himself. They want him to stay above the fray, to stay away from those extremely personal attacks, and just be the person that he was as he's come through his career. Because the Vance campaign, and I've been talking to the Vance team as well, knows that, Walz's moderate image is the thing that's going to be most potent. And that moderate image is exactly what J.D. Vance is going to want to cut into on Tuesday.
Interesting. So, Maya, there's going to be no live audience. Their microphones are going to remain open the entire time, unlike the two previous presidential debates. Who do you think these conditions might favor? Does J.D. Vance run the risk of being too much attack dog if he's not careful?
I mean, that's hard to say. I mean, the mic situation is a little bit different than with Harris and Trump, because with Trump, he had a tendency to interrupt and continue going on attacks that would have benefited Harris. So that's a little bit difficult to say.
Okay. What about VP Harris, Sophia, who is attacking Donald Trump for not wanting another debate? What are the odds that we're going to see the vice president and Trump in one more presidential debate? Is there anything about this debate, if it goes well, that would give the Trump campaign the confidence to tackle another one?
Yeah, look, I think Trump is not someone who likes to give somebody else the last word, even if it's someone on his team. And that'll be especially the case if JD doesn't do as well as he hopes to. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina, when I heard Trump respond in real time to Harris accepting another debate invitation. And, he kind of set the stage for not committing. He said, look, people have already started voting. It's too late to have another debate. But I think he's a little bit sore from the previous debate, even if he's not going to admit it. And so I think the prospects of another debate are about 50-50.
Yeah, I'd say the head scratcher for me was when he said he has to be in the mood. I'm like, what? Anyway, Maya, we have the latest NBC News polling, which shows VP Harris with a pretty significant lead over Trump among Latino voters. She is doing better than President Biden did when he was at the top of the ticket. But Democrats appear to be losing ground with Latinos overall. What are you hearing about how the Harris campaign is approaching this voting group?
Yeah, I mean, this is a voting group Democrats continue to be concerned about. I mean, to your point, she has improved her standing to where Biden was. They're feeling a little bit better about that, but she's still not at his 2020 numbers. And there's really little time left to make up that ground. I will say the Harris campaign has really been investing in targeting this group. There has been this recognition that, you know, there are concerns here and that they can't just go out, target this group in the final stretch of the campaign, as Democrats often do, but that this investment actually had to start earlier this cycle. And it did. And it's been interesting seeing what her message has actually been focused on. You know, a few issues, especially in these battleground states, they're really messaging on the economy, on high drug prices, on crime, you know, issues that, you know, voters across the board are really concerned about, but so are Latino voters in particular. And so the question now is that going to be enough?
That is the big question. We shall see. Maya Ward and Sophia Kai, ladies, thank you both.